Welcome to Goddess Sacred Place. I'm Moe Spiritual, and today we're exploring how to transform from an anxious attachment style to a secure one in relationships. We'll share practical steps on how you can begin this transformative journey. Our relationships shape so much of who we are and how we experience life. Many of us struggle with anxiety in our connections with others, constantly wondering if we're loved enough or if we're too much. If this resonates with you, know that you're not alone, and more importantly, that change is possible. Today, we'll dive deep into understanding attachment patterns and discover powerful tools to help you move from anxiety to security in your relationships. Together, we'll explore how to create the deep, fulfilling connections you deserve while honoring your authentic self. Attachment styles are patterns of behavior and emotional responses that we develop early in life through our relationships with our primary caregivers. These patterns become our blueprint for how we relate to others in our adult relationships, influencing everything from how we express love to how we handle conflict. Let's focus on two key attachment styles: anxious and secure. An anxious attachment style often develops when childhood caregiving was inconsistent or emotionally unavailable. If you have an anxious attachment, you might find yourself constantly seeking reassurance, worrying about abandonment, or feeling overwhelmed by emotional intimacy. You may notice that you're quick to assume the worst when a partner doesn't text back immediately or feel an intense need to merge completely with those you love. On the other hand, secure attachment is characterized by a strong sense of self-worth and the ability to maintain healthy interdependence in relationships. People with secure attachment trust themselves and others, communicate their needs clearly, and feel comfortable with both intimacy and independence. They can weather relationship storms without falling into patterns of panic or withdrawal. The beautiful thing about attachment styles is that they're not fixed. While our early experiences create these patterns, our brains remain flexible throughout our lives. Through conscious effort and consistent practice, we can develop new ways of relating that feel more secure and balanced. This journey of transformation begins with understanding where we are and having compassion for how we got here. Think of your attachment style as a garden that was planted long ago. While you didn't choose the initial seeds, you now have the power to nurture new growth and create different patterns. With patience and dedication, you can cultivate the secure relationships you desire and deserve. Living with an anxious attachment style can feel like being on an emotional roller coaster, where your sense of safety and worth seems to depend entirely on others' responses and validation. This pattern affects not just your romantic relationships, but every aspect of your life and well-being. In relationships, anxious attachment often manifests as a persistent fear of abandonment. You might find yourself constantly monitoring your partner's mood, analyzing their texts for hidden meanings, or feeling devastated by even minor disagreements. This hypervigilance can be exhausting, leaving you mentally and emotionally drained. The impact on your personal well-being can be profound. Many people with anxious attachment experience chronic stress, difficulty sleeping, and physical symptoms like tension headaches or stomach issues. You might notice that you're constantly in fight or flight mode, unable to fully relax or trust that things are okay. This attachment style can also create self-fulfilling prophecies in relationships. The fear of losing someone can lead to clingy behavior, excessive need for reassurance, or emotional outbursts that actually push partners away, the very thing you're trying to prevent. You might compromise your own needs and boundaries to keep others close, losing yourself in relationships and feeling increasingly dependent on external validation. At work and in friendships, anxious attachment might show up as difficulty trusting colleagues, overcommitting to prove your worth, or struggling to speak up for yourself. You might experience intense people-pleasing tendencies, saying yes when you want to say no, or taking on others' emotional burdens while neglecting your own needs. The good news is that recognizing these patterns is the first step toward healing. Understanding that these responses aren't character flaws, but rather learned survival strategies, can help you approach yourself with more compassion as you begin to make changes. Let's explore the crucial first step in transforming your attachment style: building self-awareness. This journey begins with becoming a compassionate observer of your own patterns and behaviors. Think of it as becoming a detective in your own life story, gathering clues about what triggers your anxiety and how it shows up in your relationships. Start by noticing the physical sensations that arise when attachment anxiety is triggered. You might feel a tightness in your chest, a churning stomach, or shallow breathing. These bodily signals often appear before your conscious mind recognizes the anxiety, serving as early warning signs that something feels threatening to your sense of security. Pay attention to your emotional responses and behavioral patterns. Do you find yourself checking your phone repeatedly when someone doesn't respond right away? Do you tend to apologize excessively, even for things that aren't your fault? Perhaps you notice yourself making assumptions about what others think of you without actual evidence. These are all common manifestations of anxious attachment. Consider keeping a relationship journal to track these patterns. When you feel activated, write down what triggered you, how you felt, and how you responded. Over time, you might notice that certain situations consistently trigger your attachment system. Maybe it's when your partner needs alone time, or when a friend doesn't immediately return your call. Understanding the origins of these patterns is equally important. Our attachment style typically develops in early childhood based on our relationships with caregivers. Think back to your early experiences. Were your emotional needs met consistently? Did you learn that you had to work hard to get attention or love? These early lessons create the blueprint for how we approach relationships today. As you develop this awareness, remember that these patterns served a purpose. They were survival strategies that helped you cope with uncertainty or insufficient emotional support. Recognizing this can help you approach your healing journey with self-compassion rather than judgment. You're not broken. You're simply carrying responses that no longer serve your adult life. At the heart of transforming your attachment style lies a fundamental truth. The relationship you have with yourself sets the foundation for all other relationships. Let's explore how to cultivate self-love and compassion as you heal your attachment wounds. Begin by treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a dear friend. When anxiety surfaces, instead of criticizing yourself for feeling clingy or needy, acknowledge your feelings with gentleness. Remember, your attachment responses developed for valid reasons, and they're not a reflection of your worth. Prioritizing your well-being isn't selfish, it's essential. Start creating daily rituals that honor your needs. This might mean setting aside quiet time for reflection, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or simply taking a few minutes to check in with yourself emotionally. Practice self-soothing techniques when anxiety arises. Place a hand on your heart, take deep breaths, and remind yourself that you are whole and complete on your own. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's presence or attention. Building self-trust is crucial in this journey. Start making and keeping small promises to yourself. When you say you'll do something nurturing for yourself, follow through. This gradually reinforces the message that you are reliable and trustworthy in meeting your own needs. Learn to validate your own experiences and emotions. Instead of seeking constant external reassurance, practice telling yourself, "My feelings are valid. I trust my experience." This doesn't mean you won't need support from others, but rather that you're building a stable internal foundation. Remember that healing isn't linear. There will be days when self-love feels natural and others when it feels impossible. Be patient with yourself during these fluctuations. Each moment of self-compassion, no matter how small, contributes to your healing journey. Consider creating a self-love toolkit, a collection of activities, affirmations, and practices that help you feel grounded and worthy. Draw from this toolkit whenever you notice old attachment wounds being triggered. The more you practice self-love, the more natural it becomes, gradually replacing anxious attachment patterns with secure ones. One of the most powerful ways to transform anxious attachment into secure attachment is through establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries. When we're caught in anxious attachment patterns, we often struggle with boundaries, either becoming too permissive or too rigid in our attempts to maintain connection. Setting boundaries begins with understanding that they're not walls to keep people out, but rather guidelines that help us stay true to ourselves while nurturing healthy relationships. They're an act of self-respect that actually strengthens, not weakens, our connections with others. Start by identifying your non-negotiables, the basic needs and values that are essential for your well-being. These might include having time alone to recharge, maintaining your own friendships and interests, or establishing clear communication expectations. Listen to your body and emotions. Discomfort often signals when a boundary needs to be set. When communicating boundaries, use clear, direct language while maintaining a compassionate tone. Instead of saying, "You're always demanding too much of my time," try, I need to balance our time together with other aspects of my life. Remember to express appreciation for the relationship while being firm about your needs. It's natural to feel guilty when first setting boundaries, especially if you're used to prioritizing others' comfort over your own. Remind yourself that healthy boundaries create space for authentic connection. They allow both people in a relationship to show up as their true selves. Practice starting small. Maybe that means taking a few hours for yourself without explaining or apologizing, or expressing your preferences even when they differ from your partner's. Notice how honoring your boundaries actually helps you feel more secure and present in your relationships. When others test your boundaries, and they will, stay firm while remaining kind. You might say, "I understand you'd like to spend more time together, and I care about our connection. At the same time, I need to maintain my personal space to show up fully in our relationship." Remember that boundaries aren't set and forget. They're dynamic and may need adjustment as you and your relationships evolve. Regular check-ins with yourself about how your boundaries are working will help you maintain this vital aspect of secure attachment. Building trust in relationships is a fundamental step in developing secure attachment patterns. When we've experienced anxious attachment, trust can feel like a delicate dance between hope and fear. Yet, it's through intentional trust building that we create the foundation for secure connections. Let's explore some practical exercises that can help strengthen trust, both in yourself and in your relationships. Start by practicing small acts of self-trust. Notice when your intuition speaks to you and honor it. When you make a commitment to yourself, keep it. This builds an internal sense of reliability that naturally extends to your relationships with others. In partnerships, practice transparent communication. Share your feelings openly, using I statements to express your needs and experiences. For example, instead of saying, "You never make time for me," try, "I feel more connected when we can spend quality time together." This approach creates safety for both parties to express themselves honestly. Another powerful trust-building practice is the art of repair. When misunderstandings occur, as they inevitably will, focus on understanding each other's perspectives rather than proving who's right. Take responsibility for your part, express genuine remorse, and work together to find solutions that strengthen your bond. Create rituals of connection in your relationships. This might be a daily check-in where you share highlights and challenges, or a weekly date night where you practice active listening. Consistency in these small moments builds a reliable foundation that helps soothe anxious attachment patterns. Remember that trust grows gradually, like a garden. It requires patience, consistent care, and the understanding that setbacks are natural parts of the process. Each time you choose vulnerability over protection, each time you communicate honestly instead of withdrawing, you're laying another brick in the foundation of secure attachment. Let's explore some powerful mindfulness techniques that can help you stay grounded when attachment anxiety starts to surface. One of the most effective practices is the body scan meditation. When you notice anxiety rising, pause and slowly bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting from your toes and moving up to your head. This simple practice helps anchor you in the present moment, away from anxious thoughts about relationships. Breathing exercises can be particularly soothing when attachment triggers arise. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. This extended exhale naturally activates your parasympathetic nervous system, helping to calm those waves of relationship anxiety. Another grounding practice is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. When you're feeling overwhelmed, name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This technique gently brings you back to the present moment, where you can respond to relationship dynamics from a more centered place. Creating a mindful morning ritual can set a stable foundation for your day. This might include a few minutes of meditation, gentle movement, or journaling about your feelings. When you start your day connected to yourself, you're better equipped to maintain that connection in your relationships. Remember to practice self-compassion throughout these exercises. When anxious thoughts arise, acknowledge them with gentleness. Place a hand on your heart and remind yourself that these feelings are normal parts of the healing journey. As you continue these practices, you'll develop a stronger sense of inner security that naturally flows into your relationships. As we close our journey together today, I want you to know that transforming your attachment style is a profound act of self-love. Each small step you take towards security is a victory worth celebrating. Whether you're just beginning to recognize your anxious patterns or you're already practicing the techniques we've discussed, you're exactly where you need to be on your healing path. Your journey to secure attachment isn't about becoming perfect. It's about building a loving, stable relationship with yourself first. Remember that healing happens in layers, and some days will feel easier than others. That's completely natural and part of the process. Take a moment now to reflect on one small step you can take today. Perhaps it's practicing a mindfulness exercise, setting a gentle boundary, or simply showing yourself some compassion. Whatever you choose, know that you're not alone on this path. You have everything within you to create the secure, fulfilling relationships you desire. Trust in your ability to grow, to heal, and to transform. Until next time, continue to nurture your sacred connection with yourself and watch how your relationships begin to blossom. Remember, Goddess, you are worthy of secure, loving relationships, and every step you take towards healing your attachment style is a step towards the empowered, confident being you're meant to be.